Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It is 7 o'clock. It's a very special Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. Do you think we have any mothers watching this, PG?
I don't think so. See, if any of the 5 people that are watching right now, if you are a mother, please let us know. We'd like to wish you
I would
Happy
love it.
Mother's Day.
We would
I
love
would.
it. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and to all the sons and daughters and fathers and brothers and sisters and anybody that wants to come and watch us. It is, of course, WOSFL Weekly, episode number 29 in season 2. I'm your host, Jonny Bailey, and as already introduced, joined this week again by PG. PG, have a couple of people concerned that you get tripped up by a supporter on the pitch last Sunday? Are you okay?
It was not tripped. It was not tripped up. It may have been cracked in a jaw, but not tripped up.
Mate,
but I'm sure it was probably somebody that listens to this podcast that's jumped on and done it to me.
I think it was the boy from Campbelltown.
Finally get his own back on me.
Oh, mate, what a shambles. I don't know what it must have been like working, and I know we're not here to talk about that nonsense, but I mean, it must have been horrific to be actually working and trying to organise it all, but there you are, putting your life on the line for us, mate. We appreciate you.
Aye, but look, I also did notice, I don't know if you saw in the comments, last week I got a wee dig made at me because Campbelltown got a draw.
Aye. No, brilliant. Great for them. Good for them. Do you know what it shows though, PG? And I was thinking about this and I forgot to mention it last week with Josh. People pay attention to us. Like, and I know I'm not want to get big heated or anything, but you can tell that people actually do. Like, sometimes I think it's just the two of us just talking football and it's like, who really cares? Do you know what I mean? But then you see wee things. Somebody mentioned in the comments last week about the fact that the West of Scotland Twitter page did a profile on Campbelltown as well. And you know what I mean? You're just thinking stuff like that. I mean, obviously, in your job, you're not supposed to believe in coincidences. I certainly don't believe in coincidences.
No.
And it just kind of shows you sometimes. And I had another message during the week, nothing to do with Campbelltown, but I had another message for somebody during the week, and I won't go into it because it'll remain private, but it shows that people do watch, even if they like to pretend that they're not interested, and they do pay attention.
We've not spoken about this other message. It's not somebody having a go at me again, is it?
No. It's actually having a good. Not you. Not quite at me either, but in a kind of roundabout way. But I'll explain all when we're off air. But I digress. As we always say, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy Sunday. I know lots of people will be otherwise engaged with it being Mother's Day. But thanks for spending your evening with us. Hopefully you've looked after your mother and you've treated her like the queen that she is. And you can then come and spend an hour and a bit with PG and I as we dissect all the West of Scotland action. A full league card this weekend, PG. It's absolutely unheard of. So well done, Kenny, for sticking in a full league card for us just to make our weekend. And then, of course, the weather comes along and puts paid to a load of fixtures as well. But we'll cover everything that took place. I think there was about 31 games or something, which is great. Reminder, if you are watching, as always, get involved. Your comments, questions, always welcome about your team's results, or if you've got any questions or anything you want to discuss or any news, then please let us know. If you are watching live, hit the like button. It's showing that there's 32 people watching now, so it could be all just hit the like button and then that will get the likes up. And then if you're rewatching, hit the like button and subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel. The guys that are doing the All Talk Scottish Premiership show are churning out some really good content, really interesting, and great to hear for those guys. So you'll get that video as well every week. And if you're listening on audio form, then download the episode, rate and review on any podcast networks. Just a reminder, we are sponsored by Roxburgh Insurance Brokers, by GLA Chauffeurs, and of course VSN Sport. And you can re-listen to this show on a Tuesday evening.
On Monday. It's actually, they've moved it to Monday. Monday
evening on East End Community Radio. So if you're driving about Tollcross or Parkhead and you want to listen to me and PG, then please make sure you tune into the guys at East End Community Radio, because they're great guys. They do a great job, and we thank them for supporting the show. Right, PG, we'll get straight into the Premier League.
Let's go for it.
I know, brilliant. Top 4, all win. Sounds fairly straightforward. I don't know if you caught last week's show with Josh. we were talking about Auchinleck because they'd lost 2 in the bounce, and Cycling Chainsaw Chap and Craig were a bit kind of saying that they weren't playing well and it wasn't looking good and stuff like that. And I kind of said, look, they'll beat St Cadoc's on Wednesday or Tuesday, and they'll beat Rutherglen on Saturday, and then everything will be back to normal. And Josh was a bit like, oh, you sure? Are you sure? I says, no, they'll do it. And they have done. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Good victory at St Cadoc's. They beat Rutherglen 2-0, fairly straightforward. And then everything's rosy in the garden again.
Well, I think they were maybe flapping a wee bit because the noisy neighbours have been fantastic recently. Cumnock have been absolutely smashing it. And I think we're now at the stage where we can consider Cumnock title contenders. But before we go into them, we will talk about the Talbot. And do you know what I seen the day, Johnny? I actually seen a stat that Tucker yesterday took charge of his 990th game at the Talbot. So potentially Tucker's 1,000th game in charge could be next month in the semi-finals of the Scottish Junior Cup against Cumnock. So that is
Cumnock aren't in the Junior Cup.
That's what I seen today, but I just read what I seen.
No, because Johnston Borough play Dundee.
Hang on a minute, I'll go back and see if I can read
this weekend, and then we've got Largs and we've got Buckinhaven Hearts that are the 4.
Oh, sorry, no, Johnny, I've misread. It's either going to be the semi-final of the Junior Cup or it will be against Cumnock, depending on how the fixtures fall. So, sorry, I can't read properly. But that's what it is. So, how good would it be 1,000 games in charge against Cumnock? A potential title, no decider, but one that could have a big impact on how the season goes.
I mean, it'll be amazing. And to think that you've got any manager at any level to manage 1,000 games for the same team is just unheard of. It's actually like you can't get your head around those kind of numbers. You know, I mean, I think I saw a few weeks ago Stuart Davidson at Largs reached 300 games in charge at Largs, which is an astronomical amount. John Hughes has just done 3 years at Vale of Clyde as well, so he'll be close to kind of 100-ish, maybe just over 100. But to get to 1,000, it's actually laughable, isn't it?
I wonder if there's, is there anybody? How many managers do you think at any level have reached 1,000 games? I mean, that's insane. And to be Cycling Chainsaw Chaps just said some managers hardly get 1,000 days. That is very true. That's very true. And Tucker's just, he's unbelievable. And the fact we're talking about, you said to Josh last week, if they go and beat St Cadoc's, which they did 2-0, then obviously they get a 2-0 win against Glencairn yesterday. 2 results you'd expect them to win based on where the opposition are sitting, being the bottom 2 in the league. But see, when you've had a couple of defeats or dropped points in a few games, sometimes you get into that wee habit and it's a bit of a rut. So that's 2 good results for them that you'd expect, but 2 good results that they've had to go and get. 2 clean sheets as well. Maybe gives the defence a wee bit of confidence back as well, getting into their next set of fixtures.
Aye, and next week they're in the West again. Next week they play St Cadoc's again. Next week away in the West, I think round 4. So although we've got another game in the West next week, which is a semi-final, so it shows we're a wee bit to catch up. But they'll probably get through that again. But I well done, and it'll be great. We'll do a wee thing for Tucker when he gets to that 1,000 games. It's incredible. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Cumnock though, PG. I was looking at the league table just before we started. They're now a point off Troon, level games. Talbot they're 2 points ahead of Auchinleck. Auchinleck have got 2 games in hand, which we've spoken about. But they've got to be asked, Josh, last week, and he agreed with me. They've got to be considered title contenders, and what a job it is for them even get themselves into the conversation.
Fantastic, because we've been I'd say we're probably quite honest in the sense that you say, even though they had a decent finish last season, I think I said it a couple of weeks ago when I was on, that we're talking about Cumnock finishing 7th last season and they're really happy with that because it's their highest finish in the new setup. But to me, that's not really good enough. That's mid-table. Cumnock should be aiming for better, considering they've had good money invested in the squad in the last 2 or 3 seasons. But you're really seeing it now. I mean, the fact they've only lost 4 games out of 20, I think that's really impressive. joint least amount of games lost, tied with the Talbot. It's been a really, really good season for them, and it would be great to see Cumnock, Troon and the Talbot going the whole road together to see how tight we can make the end of the season.
Aye, and I think getting into the final, of the South Challenge as well has given them a real boost. I saw on their social media they were talking about organising buses and stuff like that to go through to that. So hopefully they can go and win that and do that for Ayrshire. I did actually hear from someone who was at the game yesterday that said that it was one of the all-time worst refereeing decisions yesterday during that game, and they've not told me what it was because they said it was that bad that we would just have to watch it. But unfortunately, there's not been any highlights put up yet. I see Martin Thurston. Hi, Martin. I know Martin well. He was saying that Cumnock were tremendous. Maybe you can enlighten us in the red cards. And there's Jordan Orge's saying there two of the strangest red cards within a minute with a minute to go as well. So I don't know what's happened, but it sounds as if the refereeing, the officiating is continuing its positive nature in Scotland. So that's all good. And then, of course, the other team, Troon, go to Glenafton, which is never an easy place to go, especially after them coming off a couple of good results, but managed to come away with a 2-1 win as well.
Aye, that's a really good win for Troon. They needed that because they've been a bit hit and miss recently. And I know they'd beaten Drumchapel in penalties and drawn with Drumchapel the week before, so they've not had a lot of great results. And I feel like they needed that win. It was really important because if they continued the dip in form, then we're talking about Cumnock, we're talking about Talbot. It's really tight at the top of the table, and you can't afford to drop too much. Particularly, like we're saying, Glenafton have beaten the Talbot and had a couple of good results. They've shown signs. I was speaking to Lee Duncanson the other week there at Glenafton. He was telling me they've started to get a lot more players back. So I think that's why you're starting to see the results turn in their favour. But aye, great result for Troon. The top four winning. And you know, I'm really pleased to see it. And it's no one would have thought would have been saying, but Pollock being in the top four, absolutely sensational run of form they're on. If I'm looking at it, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They've not lost in 90 minutes in 13, 14 games. It's very impressive, with that only defeat coming in the surprise defeat coming in the Cup.
No, it's an unbelievable run. And like you said, I spoke to Josh last week about it and stuff, and I'm raging myself, so I can't remember the name, but he says that everybody's obviously been talking about Monty and Stuart McCann and Bob McHugh and all that kind of stuff, but they brought in a centre half, I can't mind his name, and he said the difference that he's made to the team has been massive to what they've been trying to do. So things are looking rosy now in the garden for Pollock, looking for one of those top 8 spots. Just on Hurlford, PG, like...
I'm sorry, Johnny. I've just been sent the red cards.
Right, okay.
It's video footage, so it's pretty hard to make it out, but it looks like quite a stramash happens on the halfway line.
There was a headlock by Bert Hurlford player, knee in the swingers. So it's Stuart Houston, I think, was the centre half that they brought in, who I don't know, to be honest. I don't know where they got him from. Maybe somebody can educate us on the show. And I meant to ask Josh at the time, but he said he'd made a big difference, and it's interesting that because being an ex centre half myself, the forward players always get the glory, but us defenders never get any credit, do we?
That's the old adage that strikers win your games, defenders win your league titles, and I completely agree with that. See, Pollock defensively have been really sound. That's how you look at the top teams or all the best defensive records, which generally does happen, but it's hard to break a team down and beat them if they've got good centre halves, and I think that's something that we're looking at Pollock there, something they've missed since kind of the Lowe's Gow and Lowe's Big Scotty Forest and stuff like that. But Hurlford, they'll be a wee bit disappointed yesterday not to take anything there. But
how do you think that affects the team mentally, like, knowing that the season is now a damp squib for them? Like, it genuinely doesn't matter like what they do, whether they finish bottom or if they finish top, they win the league, okay, right? But if they finish second to bottom, it makes absolutely zero difference in the season.
I think it makes a huge difference in terms of, see, even no question people's professionalism, that's not what I mean, but you're not going to be, see if you can get an excuse to miss training. A couple of you will miss training because well, you're like, it doesn't really matter. We can't win the league. We can't get promoted. We're guaranteed to be in this league next season. I know that's what, I know 100% that that's what it's like in changing rooms. And I think you can see the fact that they've won 11 and lost 9, absolutely no consistency. And that's what you get when you don't have a lot to play for. So I think it does definitely make an impact on, even if it's just subconsciously, on how you view certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Round the other results in our team that kind of got Artley going, beat Renfrew 3-2, another good result for them. They had a couple of really good results against the top teams, and then kind of 1-2, lost 2, won another 2 in the bounce. But again, another team that can't really do anything. But I suppose for Willie Dyer and the Artley squad, it's maybe a bit different because they're trying to show that they can compete in the Premier League for next year. Whereas Hurlford don't really have that. They don't have any carrot to dangle, whereas Willie and even Jimmy Quigley at Renfrew can dangle that carrot and say, look, can you compete here next year and earn your place in the squad?
I think that Arthur have had a very, very good season. And they're exciting as well. I mean, there's 54 they've scored and 49 they've conceded. So you know that you're getting a lot of goals when you go and watch Arthur. I think they've done tremendous. Obviously, I've got a soft spot for Renfrew. It's my local team. My brother played for them. I really like Jimmy as well. I really hope they'd start picking up some points because I know obviously we're looking at Hurlford and Arthur won't go up, which means that down to 10th place we could be looking at teams getting promoted, which Renfrew are sitting just now. Glenafton get the game in hand on them with the same points. Then they've got Cowan a point behind, Beath a point behind them as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see who can get themselves into that kind of 10th position to see who's going to make it into the West Lowland League next season. But you're right. You're right in what you say with Athley. I think for Wally, they'd be looking to try and win this league next season, I think. Now, genuinely, because obviously you're losing all the teams, you're looking at Hurlford and Athley, their teams who will definitely be looking to try and get themselves, at least at worst case, in the top 3 to get promoted into the West Lowland League the following season.
Aye. And they dealt a wee blow the day I saw on social media. Aaron Healy signed a pre-contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a big blow for them.
Aye, that's the thing is, you know that Tiff and Ginge are going to be looking about that market. It's a market they know very well, and it's they've obviously done a really good job at Stranraer as well. So it looks like a team who are potentially on the up. So like we are, and you can't blame them for trying to make a step up a couple of divisions, and you wish them all the best. But that'll be a disappointing one for Arthur to lose somebody of his quality. And you know what it's like at this time of year. This is when you're starting to try and get everybody signed for next season, and it can be a bit difficult. But I suppose, Johnny, what's your view on it, having been involved in management and stuff? See, for Athley and Hurlford, knowing that they can't go up, do you think that gives them a better position to be in a sense, for next season already looking to say, well, we're going to be in this league, we're going to be pushing to try and win it, come to us next season, and they know whether they're kind of going to be?
Well, I think it's two different scenarios, PG, personally, because Athley were never going to go up, whereas Hurlford were trying to get there and couldn't get over the line in terms of the hoops that they had to jump through for the licence. So I think for Hurlford, it was up until maybe 2 weeks ago, they were going for it, and now that's where that's the kind of point I was meaning about Hurlford, because it's almost like the rug's been pulled under them, which could have an effect. Whereas with Atherley, they were never in contention to go up, so it was a bit of a different mindset for them. If you're with me.
No, I get what you mean. I suppose, and it does make it quite disappointing for Hurlford. But I do wonder if you're Willie and you're saying to players, look, you know that we're going to be title contenders potentially next season. Come and play your football here. It's probably a bit more settled, knowing that they don't have the potential of, are we going up or are we not going up?
Mm-hmm. Aye. And Paul Smith was making an interesting point there, saying the Lowland League West and East are just doing it with the old West and East Premier. Next season, the Premier will be the old Division 1. That's what the win, right? Well, know that that's what the win is if it's a bad thing, because you win a league at any level, Paul. It's good. I wouldn't mind if you win the Tiddlywinks League. If you're in it, you want to win it. But it is a fair point because it is going to be predominantly West and East Premier Leagues, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I think Paul's completely right, and that's something I'd said. Obviously, we were having a lot of discussions on the show. We were really busy at the time when there was talk about how the league setup was going to be, and I did mention that it's completely went back to the old way the juniors was with East and West split. I'm going to I get what you're saying, Paul. Paul's just put on there. It's not the Premier though, which I do get what he means, but it still is. You're a tier higher than you were, and I know what he means.
But chance to get promoted.
You've because it's not exactly the West Premier. Like the West Lone League isn't exactly the West Premier when you're looking at having your Cumbernauld Colts and Albion Rovers, Cali Braves and stuff like that. So it is slightly different, but I understand what Paul means. I just think it's slightly different.
Mm-hmm. Aye, no, it's. But I mean, you look for argument's sake, right? I mean, let's take if you take the bottom 8 just now, right? So you're looking Johnston Borough, Drumchapel, Renfrew, Glenafton, Co-NMB, Shotts, Rutherglen, St Cadoc's. Then you had in Irvine Meadows, St ROCHS, Darvel for the league below Ardrossan. It's a good Premier League. In my opinion, it's a good Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Clubs that have got aspirations to move on and progress. So, no, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's what we love. And thanks for your engagement, Paul. It's always good to hear from you. But just touching in the last 2 results, Johnston Borough beat St Cadoc's 3-1 and Drumchapel take care of Shotts 2-1. We've no Jones since Johnston Borough went in that disappointing run where they lost 3-4 in the bounce. And I asked Josh last week if we thought that was Johnston Borough's title aspirations gone, which he kind of said yes. Are you of the same ilk?
Oh, 100%. Johnston Borough have no chance of winning the league. Unless
clip it.
Do you know what? I'm going to go full Hugh Keevins here. You can clip it. A team who have lost 7 out of 17 are not going to go and win 13 out of 13. Now, clip it. If I'm wrong, congratulations to the Borough for a tremendous end to the season, but I highly doubt I'll be wrong. I think they've had a really disappointing season, and I wonder, without having any knowledge or speaking to anybody, I wonder what the club view this season as. Top 8 is obviously promotion is the main thing, and I think that if they get that, which I think they definitely will, then it could be considered a successful season. But I think with the quality they've got, with the investment they've put into the squad and everything else around the club, finishing 8th or 9th, even 7th is really not good enough for me. I think it's a really poor season, but they'll not care if they get promoted, and they can go and try and build next season and see what they can do in the West Lowland League. But I'm of the opinion.
I think this weekend is massive for them. They play the Scottish Cup quarter-final this weekend against Dundee. I always get Dundee North End, East End.
North End.
That's a massive game for them. You know, I think that's to get to the semi-finals potentially. You look at the teams that are in the semi-final: Largs, Buckinhaven Hearts, Johnston Borough, Auchinleck. So you're looking at those teams. I think this is a huge weekend for them personally.
Johnny, what do you think if they get knocked? I don't think they will this weekend. And to be fair, looking at the fixtures, they've obviously had a lot of hard games, because you're looking at, on paper, a favourable run after the Scottish Cup game. You've got Drumchapel, St Cadoc's, Glenafton, Glencairn, Shotts, and then Beath before they play Troon. So you could potentially be looking at quite a lot of points picked up in the next 6 weeks, and it does flip it on its head, and it's a different season. But what would your view be? See if they lose next week to Dundee North End, what's your views on maybe Murdy's position at the club, or how the club feel about how their season's going?
I think they'll be extremely disappointed. Of course they will. I'm pretty sure. I'm absolutely certain, and I know for a fact that they expected to be at the top of the table contending for the league title this season, and they've not achieved that, so they'll be disappointed. But I do think securing that promotion to the Lowland League West, which is ultimately the goal of all the kind of so-called bigger teams in the league, and they're going to do that, then I think you need to you need to persevere, in my opinion. I don't want to see. I don't think getting promotion to the Lowland League West and getting to, even if they did get to the Scottish Cup quarterfinals, whilst it might not be what you wanted, I don't think it's enough to justify changing the manager, personally.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. I still think that Murdy should have time, even if they get put out on Saturday. I think it should have time. It should have time to finish the season and see where they go. Get promoted, then it becomes a discussion for Johnson Borough. But I think if they make it in, then I think it should still be in a job. It's kind of maybe just asking the question to see what your view is, Johnny.
No, that's fine. No, listen, I'll always give you my opinion. I said to Josh last week, I'm a massive proponent in giving managers time unless it looks completely disastrous and the wheels have fell off completely. Personally, with people talking, I think when we spoke about Dean, when Dean was on, we had people talking about Kevin Kelly at Co-winning being under pressure. We've had folk talking about Maxey being under pressure. Folk talk about Murdy all the time, but it's basically just because of the investment that the club's put in, that kind of thing. I mean, PG, we get people talking about Tucker when they lose a couple of games. Do you know what I mean? Like there was genuinely stuff on social media when they lost those 2 games in the bounce last week saying Tucker's time's up. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's mental. It's mental.
So I just don't believe in it, and especially when you're achieving, maybe not achieving the targets that they set in terms of competing for the league, but they're still going to get promoted. And I think Murdy more than deserves a chance to build a squad for the Lowland League West and see where that takes them. Have you heard any rumours on the Drumchapel job, PG? By the way, the buddy, I know this is not going to make any sense for people that are listening that don't know me and you, that haven't got access to you and I's WhatsApp chat, unless we've got any Russian agents listening along. The guy that I was talking about is Drumchapel Amateurs. He's taking it's not the
that makes more sense. That definitely makes more sense.
So, have you heard any rumours on the Drumchapel?
Do you know, I've heard absolutely nothing.
There's
got to be a lot of interest in that job because financially the Drum, obviously, well, I don't know. I say obviously they lost a big sponsor through no fault of their own this season, which was a bit of a dunt for them. But they're still reasonably attractive in terms of what they can pay players. They've got a great committee who give everything for the club, and they've got a good community about them as well. It's obviously a club I know really well, and they're trying to do things the right way. They're really trying to improve Donald Dewar, and they've got a good hardcore of fans, which I think all the new clubs that have come in, the Drum have been the one that have been the most successful, not just on the part which they have, but they've been the most successful in terms of how they've built the club and how they've managed to get the community involved. But maybe Liam Callow's hearing things that I'm not hearing, and Johnny, you know what to tell me anything, but that you're taking me away.
I don't know if Liam had a few glasses of red wine when he's had his mother out for lunch this afternoon, but absolute nonsense. PG, see the Donald Dewar, right? I've never been there, I've never played there, I've never actually even visited it. I've seen a few people being quite disparaging about it in terms of a few comments about the distance the changing rooms are for the park and stuff like that. Is that relevant? Is that not?
No, Johnny, it's a sports centre, and Drumchapel doing everything they can to get it completely under their ownership. Yeah. They've done a good job with the facility as it is, but see, for me, the changing rooms are literally. See, if you were walking from the home changing room onto the park, it's including walking inside, I'd say 30, 40 yards.
I mean, the example, I don't know if you've been to a new co-winning setup, but it's like, do you know what I mean? It's miles away. The changing rooms are miles away for the pitch at co-winning. You know, they can get the licence and stuff, and I can't say.
I'd say it isn't too dissimilar for that.
Aye.
It's no horrific.
And co-winning's up a hill as well, so see after you've done a warm-up, see try to get up that hill, you're knackered for the game.
Co-winning's definitely worse in terms of distance from the park to the changing room, definitely. Paul's said on it, Donald Dewar's a terrible place to watch football. I get what he means in the sense that it's very tight and narrow.
I just asked Paul, did you get out the right side of bed this morning?
No, it's because he's a Clydebank man. Paul doesn't like the Drum.
Right, okay. Clyde
He
Bang,
doesn't.
man, what are you doing watching Western Scotland Football League Weekly?
Oh,
Well,
Paul's one of your
happy to have
top
you, Paul.
fans.
Happy to have you, Paul. I'm only winding you up.
But as far as I'm aware, I don't know if it's changed since a year or so ago when I heard, but even the Drum, they're trying to build a stand behind where the dugouts are. So they're looking at taking the fence down and putting a stand there, as far as I'm aware, if that's still the plan. So they're really trying to do a good thing. So it would be a very good job for somebody to get. There's got to be a lot of interest in it.
Aye, I think so. Liam's just saying he's hungover after been down south watching 2 games. Who
Aye,
were you watching, Liam? Anything good? I hope it was non-league football, none of this Premier League nonsense. But aye, so, and interesting, Paul's here. Clydebank have picked up in the lower league as well, haven't they? So
good couple of wins. That's 11 goals in the last 2 games for them. Really good to see because they had a right
part of me
bad
wants them
patch.
to stay in it though.
Aye, so they can bear it with everybody next year.
Aye, do you know what I mean?
I
Because I
know.
think having those Clydebank, Auchinleck, Clydebank Pollock, these kind of games. Part of me wants them not to get promoted, but I still feel a wee bit of ownership over them, like a wee bit of kind of fanboy because they're like our team, and I want them to go on and do well. So, aye, good luck to Clydebank. We know that much luck, right? Okay, into the first division where NACHO v St Rochs round 2 at Recreation Park in the Valley yesterday, but ends in a bit of a damp squib, 2 each. So doesn't really do any team any good. Try to catch up ground on Irvine Meadow, whose game was off against Cumbernauld.
I think you're right in terms of trying to catch ground. I mean, Darvo don't really have a much shot of winning the league with having played the 3 extra games and being 8 points behind. But I think for Darvo, if I was trying to look at it on Twitter yesterday when I was out and about, I'm sure they were 2-0 down, so it was 2 second half goals. Shows a bit of character for them. St Rochs will be absolutely raging with that, though. I mean, that was an opportunity with the Meda not playing, they could have closed it to 5 points with a game in hand. And it's another, do you know what? I don't mean this to sound like I'm having a go at the Rock, right? But it's the most Rock thing in the world today. I feel like every year the Rock have this great run and they're right in it. And then they just kind of make a few mistakes and drop points here and there. And they never seem to have that bit to get themselves over the line. So it's really disappointing to see. But they're going to get promoted. And I've said it many times. I'm really looking forward to having the Rock in the top flight next season.
Aye. Do you know something? Actually, I watched on YouTube an interview with Kendo that the Rock had put on their social media. Like their social media is excellent, to be fair to them. But I watched an interview that he'd put on the YouTube, and I don't know Kendo at all. I've never even spoken to him, but I liked him, man. I liked to cut his jib.
He's honest, isn't he?
Aye, I did. I really
He does love a 2 a.m. tweet as well, to be fair. So I wonder if he likes a wee drink and then just goes, "I'm taking to Twitter right now." But it's great for us when he does that. No, he never does it out of line, but it's funny. It's funny to see when he's put on a tweet, and it is quite early.
No, but
early over the moment.
He strikes me as just like a kind of old school, like junior manager. Do you know what I mean? There's no airs or graces with him, and I'm only going by an interview I saw on YouTube. But there's no kind of airs or graces with him. He'll tell you how it is. This is what he expects, and this is what he expects you to do. And if you don't do it, then that's
Sure.
it, kind of thing. But aye, good luck to them. And I'm sure the travelling Rock fans gave Nacho a bit of stick as well. Although Celtic were at home yesterday, so it was maybe a bit tamer for Nacho down at Darvel. Petershill beat Gartcairn 4-3. Nothing really to talk about there. Rob Roy.
I wonder though, Johnny, Gartcairn seem to be scoring some goals, and maybe I think they're maybe due some points. I mean, I know they got a point last week, against Lanark, right, and they got a point the week before against Thornleywood. But they're kind of getting into that position now where they're clearly improving a wee bit. I still think they'll probably miss it in the top 8, but they're clearly starting to turn a corner, and it's nice to see because we spoke about it. We didn't want to see them get into a stage where they were getting battered absolutely every single week. And Petershill will be absolutely delighted because they've obviously had a really, really bad season, and that's a much needed 3 points for them.
PG, I don't want to see Gartcairn get promoted personally. I think they need to just stay where they are and try and get a team together for next year to compete in the first division. I think going up to that Premier League would be
horrible for them.
Yeah, if they're going, things are going the way they're going just now. I don't think it'd be a good move for them. Excuse me. Rob Roy draw 2 each way. Vela Clyde, like I said, John Hughes 3 years at Villa Clyde. What a job he's done. But Rob Roy, again, flying high at the top of the top end
Well,
of the table.
that's another one. We're talking about Darvel being 2-0 down and pulling it back. That was the same way with Rob
I know
Roy
Villa Clyde were
yesterday.
going to 10 men though for most of the second half. So,
But it's you're talking about John. I think he's done one of the best jobs a bit in the setup. Couple of promotions, and now he's got a team who are probably going to get promoted again. He's done a really, really good job. But I'm pleased to see Rob Roy doing better. I'm really, really like Gibby. Got a lot of time for him, and that's another decent result because I know they'll be disappointed to have been 2-0 down, but nobody's going to get an easy win against or an easy point against Villa Clyde. So that's a decent result for Rob Roy. And it keeps them in that kind of top half of the league position where a wee bit of breathing room.
Yep. And Benburg move up to 11th. They get a really good result against Neilston. And Kilbirnie Ladeside beat Lanark 2-1. You would probably expect them to beat them, but that's Kilbirnie up to 6th in the league now. They've played 21. They've kind of roughly about the same games teams run about them. But from where they were when Colin Riley came in, I think now you'd be a brave man to bet against them, not get one of those top 8 spots.
He's done an excellent job. We've said it quite a few times that Kilbirnie are a club who should be doing better than they're doing. And Colin, when he came in, he had a good wee start. He did with a lot of new managers with a bounce to get, and then it kind of fell back and reverted to type. This is obviously him getting his stamp on it, and you can see that the team's getting much better. So I'm really pleased to see them win 6th place in the league. That's more where you'd expect Kilbirnie to be. And just to go back to the Ben's game, good couple of results for them recently, picking up much needed points. Neilson, on the other hand, they're in a really bad run now. A really poor run.
2 wins in 10, PG.
It's no great at all. And they 2 wins, I think, if I'm correct, actually, if I look back, you've got a win over Petershill, who at that time, that was almost a gimme, and then a win against Wishaw, which again is a gimme. So it's been a really bad run of form for them, and they need to turn it around or they're going to have another season in the first division. But having said that, as much as you and Dean want to shoot me down, might not be the worst thing in the world for Neilson to be in the first division next season, because they'll be competitive instead of getting up a league and no being competitive.
Okay, mate. Okay. And finally, let's get a really good result 2-1 at home to Ardrossan. I really fancied Ardrossan the way that Tony started at Ardrossan. I fancied them to go and get the points off Whitlets, so they'll be disappointed not to come away with anything.
Massive win for Whitlets. I mean, I know grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much, but it was a really surprising one. I thought, like you said, with Tony being in there, good start. Ardrossan were going to go and win that one by a couple of goals. So that's really well done to Whitlets getting themselves the 3 points there.
Aye, and it's interesting when I spoke to Tony for the radio, he was kind of saying that because they've played more games than others, they can't really afford any slip-ups, if you like, and they might not have expected to beat Irvine Meadow, so that maybe alleviates the pain of this one, if you like, but this is one of those ones where you look at and you go, oh, that could come back to bite them, maybe.
Aye, really frustrating if they're getting a good result against the Meadow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Into the second division, quite a few games off, but I think for me, we'll start with my old team, Maybole, beating Greenock 4-1 at home. I would say is probably result of the day.
They just needed to get rid of that Deadwood at Maybole, and then they really start picking up results after that. I mean, that's 2 wins at the last 3, and that's a great result for them. I don't know what's going on at Greenock. They've seemed to have hit the skids a wee bit recently, no picking up many points at all. I think they've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games without a win. Mm-hmm. It's not a great run of form for them, particularly with how good a start the season had. But excellent for Maybole, and it's quite a convincing one as well with 4-1.
Aye, no, definitely well done to them. At the top end of the table, Bells Hill continue to win games, beating Blantyre. And Blantyre are an interesting one since when Andy came in, they started that train. I think they won 5 or 6 league games in the bounce, and that's them now back-to-back defeats, which is no ideal for them in terms of their promotion aspirations, but good for Bells Hill just to keep the pressure on Threave at the top end of the table.
Aye, it's a really important one. Obviously, Threave getting the win yesterday against Thorn, who I think took points off Blantyre recently and were looking a wee bit better. But Blantyre, granted, the 2 defeats they've had have been to first and third in the league, so it's maybe a bit of context around it, but they need to be careful that they're only 5 points above the 8th place, so they would like to be looking to try and pick up some more points just to cement that promotion spot, which I still think they'll get.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to be leaving it too late in the day, because you know when you start getting into midweek games and guys are working and stuff, that's where you get funny results.
Aye, no, definitely. And he touched on 3 there, beating Thorn 5-2 and Les Mahigo, who appear to have changed into 4th because they've got the 4th badge there. Beat Cali Locos 6-3, so good game for the neutrals there. Good West of Scotland game there.
Aye, and it's a result you'd expect. Cali Locals, Stevie's having a really tough time there. That's been quite a while he's been there, and they've hardly won a game. I think they've only won. Somebody will need to correct me because I know I'm wrong, but it's going to be something close to it. I think they've only won something like 4 or 5 games in the best part of a year. So it's no an encouraging period for the club, and we know they've not got any money. They don't have much fan base. They've got a lot of followers on Twitter, but it doesn't convert to actual fans. So it's a really tough spell for them.
Aye, and Kenny's just saying there's a midweek game this week, Greenock v Cambuslang. I forgot to mention Cambuslang losing 2-1 at home to Larkhall. Cambuslang in a really good run of form, so they'll be disappointed with that one. I think that's the first defeat in 5 or 6 or something for Cambuslang, but they'll be disappointed with that.
That's what Larkhall are like, but I mean, I've said it loads of times. Larkhall will go and take 3 or 4 off Bells Hill and then lose by 2 or 3 to 4th. You know what I mean? That's the kind of team there. They're so hit or miss, but there's definite quality in that Larkhall team. So I'm not overly surprised that they won, but Cambuslang will be disappointed because, like you said, they've been a really good run of form.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and just finally, just to touch on, 4th, Jerry Ward signed a new contract, a new 2-year contract, and they've been teasing a big announcement over the last couple of days, but they haven't announced it yet. I was just checking there just to see. I don't know what it could be.
I know, I'd seen that. I was wondering myself.
If anybody's got any insight.
See, do you know, I think it's good. It's good that they've, I know on paper you're looking at it and saying, well, they've won 1 out of 21 and didn't have a great season last year. It's good that they're getting Jerry time, because there's obviously more issues behind the scene with 4th, and obviously geographically where they are, it's not the easiest place to attract players, and hopefully it can pick up for them next season when they're kind of in a more competitive environment for them. But I'm pleased for Jerry. He's a nice guy, so it's good to see him getting an extra couple of years in his contract.
Yeah, and we're building up really. Bells Hill play 3 on the 28th, so a week on Saturday, which is going to be massive. I see Bells Hill were saying that their hospitality's sold out for that. Excellent. Already, so expecting a big crowd. And then in between then, next week we've got Bells Hill go to Les Mahigo, so that'll be a tricky one for them, because Les Mahigo are going well, and Threave play Cali Locos, so you're expecting Threave to pick up 3 points against Cali Locos next week, but Les Mahigo v Bells Hill at Les Mahigo could be a close one.
I think you could be looking at a potential draw with Bells Hill and Les Mahigo. Excuse me. Threave will beat Cali Locos. Both teams could be sitting on 53 points next week getting into that, or the week after getting into that game. It'll be really interesting. Bells Hill beat them earlier in the season.
I think Threave beat them. PG.
Did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
They did. 3-1-2-1. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it'll be really interesting. And there's a wee comment for Maxie. It's funny. I wonder if his team are winning. I've not heard from him in a while.
We know a lot of clubs well between us, Maxie. We've got Maxie. I was hearing for Gary, you were patrolling about Spartans on Friday night, so doing well. Gary was saying he had a good chat with you, talking about Gary Holt. Was saying he was playing in the Scottish Seniors with Maxie on Friday night up at Spartans. Okay, into the 3rd division. So Yoker get the ghost of PG away by beating Glasgow Uni 4-3.
Really good turnaround after, I think they were 3-0 down at one point. So a very good turnaround. I'm pleased to see Adam Barrett getting a couple of goals. He's a good guy, works really hard, defender. So I was pleased to see Yoker get a win because they're a great group of boys and they're better than they've been shown. But granted, when you're playing the Port and Craig Mark, and that's 2 of 3 games you've lost, clubs that I know really well, Maxie, then that's to be expected. You're playing the top 2 teams in the league. But great result for them. Glasgow Uni have also been in a good bit of form, so that keeps them kind of right on their toes. Same games played, only a point behind. Interesting for me was the Port draw Mikello. Really disappointing result. I think that really puts the ball in Craig Mark's court to try and go and win that league.
I think that kills it, PG, personally.
I think there's a good chance because Craig Mark have only dropped points in 4 out of 21 games. They'd have to drop points maybe five games at the last 9, and obviously mental things like that have happened before, but I just don't see it happening. They're a really dominant side in the league.
No, and I think they scored 2 late goals yesterday to beat Glenville. And as I said to Josh, me and Josh kind of went through the leagues and picked our winners, and I said Craig Martin. The reason that I said Craig Martin was because they know how to win games, and yesterday's a prime example of it. And with Port Glasgow, they couldn't really afford to drop any more points, and the fact that they have done means it's 3 points of a gap. Craig Mark have got 2 games in hand. Personally, I think Craig Mark have just got too much about them to let that slip.
The only way I could see it is if Knightswood can continue a really good run of form.
Well, Josh did make the case for Knightswood, and I had to kind of agree with him. They've won 6. They won the last 6, and they got a really good win yesterday away to Knightswood 3-1. Away to Easterhouse 3-1. So, he made a decent case for Knightswood, Josh. To be fair.
Well, the Knightswood have got the Port in 2 weeks, and they seem to have the Port's number in the last 3 or 4 fixtures against them. Interestingly enough, though, see if Knightswood can put a bit of pressure on Craig Mark and keep it really tight. They play each other the second last game of the season. That could be a potential title decider. So that'll be a really, really interesting game in May, and it is down at Craig Mark. So I imagine that they'll turn out in decent numbers for that down there because they're a club who they get kind of the locals come out, but when they're doing well, I imagine that there'll be quite a decent turnout for it.
Aye, no, definitely. Friend of the show, Dean Keenan, will be disappointed with losing 3-2 away to Fanat yesterday.
I think Fanat are a funny team. They've got a wee bit more stability about them now, where after Danny Simpson left, and it was a wee bit up in the air, but Brian's kind of back in. They've got a wee bit more stability, so they're obviously getting a bit better. But I do not be really disappointed. That'd have been a good opportunity to go into 4th place. Granted, Glasgow, Uni and Yoker and Ardeer and Dorai all have games in hand, quite a few games in hand, but the points on board are what really matters. And I still think they have enough to keep themselves. I still think they have enough to keep themselves in the hunt. And I tell you what, I'm going to actually out him here. What a comment that is for Big Banksy. He's a player of Craig Mark, and he's coming on here saying sealed promotion as well yesterday. Well, Banksy, I hope you're right, mate. But you've
it's official. It's actually official.
Oh, is that it? Well, there you go then. Congratulations, Banksy. Well done. I haven't
well
even
done.
looked at that.
You've finished top 8, Banksy. Well done. I'm only with you. I hope you well, big man. Love you to bits. But what were we touching on there? Girvan, I'd be disappointed with that. And then, speaking of horrible places to go, Springburn Synthetic is one of the worst I've been to be fair. Absolutely atrocious place to play semi-professional football. And then the final game, Glasgow United beat St Anthony's 2-1. Do we think Glasgow United can sneak into the top 8?
No,
I
don't think so. I think that they're actually, see, when they're on it, they're not a terrible team, but they don't win enough games for me. And I think that teams about, when you look, Glenvale are starting to pick up some results. I know they're only 3 points ahead and they've played 3 games more, but they're running Craig Mark close, beating Yoker. They're starting to show a wee bit of determination to get themselves in. Fanat are picking up again as well. I just think that it might be a wee bit too much for Glasgow United to make themselves get a final push into that top 8.
Aye, I mean, I think I've said for the minute I started doing this podcast, PG, that they're the hardest team to work out.
Aye.
Usually you get a grip of most teams, but Glasgow United, they're one I would never ever put on my coupon on a Saturday.
Nah, no chance. It's
gamble responsibly.
I actually think that the top 8 right now is likely to be what the top 8 finishes as. I just feel that the teams that are there just now, obviously Banks is correct in saying Craig mark her up, so there's 7 points to go for it, 7 places to go. The Portland Knights would guaranteed promotion. I think Yoker, Glasgow, Uni and Ardere and Dorai, because of the amount of games they've got, they'll get it. And I can't see Girvan throwing away the position there in either. I think they only need another 3 wins out the next 6 games, which they're capable of. So I just can't see anybody breaking into that top 8.
I tell you what, though, I am concerned with Ardere's run of form, though, PG. Do you know what I mean? I know that game was off yesterday, but the last 3 results, getting beat from Lugar, getting beat from Glasgow Pershore, and then drawing with Finnart. Now, Finnart's not the worst side in the world, of course, but I'm just a wee bit concerned. They need to address that slide. And yesterday would have been a really good test for them, but shock, it rained, so Dalrai was off.
Right.
But I'm concerned. I think Sean will be really keen to get back on the horse, so to speak. They host Easterhouse next week, which isn't going to be an easy game as well.
What would be your view? Who could potentially make it into the top 8, potentially at Ardere's expense? Because they are the one that I would say probably would fall out. I don't think they will, but if they would, who would you think would be able to make it in at their place?
I don't know. I mean, I think the one, and again, it pains me to say it, but I think you need to. I'm concerned about Girvan as well, just because they've played more games than everybody else. They've played 4 more games than Yoker and Ardere, who are directly below them. They've played 6 less than Dalrai. 1 less than Finnart and Glenville down in 9th and 10th. So that might save them a wee bit, that kind of thing. So I think you could be looking at, I would predict you're probably looking at Girvan, Finnart, Glenville, maybe scrapping about for that last 8th spot.
I just see you're talking about games played. I know Ardere on a really poor run just now, but they're 3 points clear of Finnart with 3 games in hand.
Well, no, listen, I think they'll get. I think they'll get.
No, I know what you're saying.
I'm just concerned about their form.
I get what you're saying. I think that see if they win one of the 3 games, and then it becomes 6 points, and you've only got maybe 5-6 games left. I don't really see Finnart or Glenville being able to go and win 5 out of these 6, and I think that's maybe where it becomes too much for them. And with Dorai, I don't think there's any concern for them. I think that they've got enough about them that out the last 12 games they'll win at least 5.
I think the only thing that could really hamper Dorai would be the backlog of fixtures, because we know the pitch and the problems that they have, and they're going to be playing a lot of games during the week. And we've already seen in the Premier League and the First Division, with games getting played at night time, that things can happen. And I was just looking at the fixtures there. So Girvan play Dorai at Girvan this Saturday. So that's a massive game as well.
Aye, I think so. I'm just actually having a wee look. Ardere get Easterhouse and the Ants in the next 2 games. See if they could come away with 4 points in these 2 games. That puts them in a really, really good position. But then they've got Port Glasgow and Yoker. See if they don't beat. I could see them losing Easterhouse, but see if they don't beat both. If they don't get at least 1 win out of these 2 games, and then they go into the Port Glasgow game and the Yoker game, then they're in a bit of bother, because it's Glenvale and Kello after that, 2 teams about you. So they have got a tough run in.
Yep, no, definitely. Okay, mate. Into the 4th division now. We'll start with some news that broke just after we'd finished recording. In fact, it was on Monday morning. Barry McColgan, the BSC manager, texted me the update to say that it's looking extremely unlikely that they will be continuing in the league next year. Massively disappointing for Barry and for the league as a whole.
It's not what the league want. Obviously, we're looking at quite a few new sides coming in next season because of the change through the setup. To take away another team who it's a reasonably established side in that 4th division now, a few seasons have been there. It'll be disappointing. I know they've not had a great time the last year and a half, 2 years, but it's a bit disappointing that it's come to that. And sadly, it's just a shame. I'm just wondering what the league are going to do. I wonder if they'll. I've got a feeling they might end up playing like a 12-team league or something next season just because of the sheer volume of numbers. I've not heard anything. That's just something that I think would make sense because you can't go and replace 9 teams with 9 new teams. I don't think that becomes a bit too much, and the standard becomes diluted. I don't mean on the park, because you could easily bring in a lot of amateur teams who would be better than teams that are in that division. I just mean in terms of the setup and the background, that you dilute the standard and just bring in purely amateur teams who might not be equipped.
No, and to be fair, I don't think the league would do that, PG. I really don't. I think they're too diligent and they're too cognizant of the reputation of the league that they wouldn't want to do that. It was interesting. I don't know, did you see the stuff around the south of Scotland that came out from the league, that they've south of Scotland teams had applied to join the league, but they'd said no next year kind of thing. So, which I completely get, and I understand, and I think decisions like that. I know people maybe get on the west of Scotland, but I actually like the board at the west of Scotland. I think they've maybe made some errors over the years, but I genuinely do think they make the right decisions more than the wrong decisions personally.
I think it's too easy to turn around and say, oh, that the board aren't good enough, the committee and that aren't good enough. None of us, or very few of us, have a real understanding of what it takes to try and run an organisation this size. So I do think they do a generally pretty good job. And obviously, I've been vocal on Campbelltown and stuff. But Campbelltown have got a good setup. They've got their own
park. We're backtracking. Ladies and gentlemen.
Not at all. Not at all. But with a team like Campbelltown, excluding the travel, they've got a good setup. They're well established. They're kind of community run. So they've got what they need in place there. See, if you start bringing in lots of new clubs, then it does dilute it, like I'd said. And on the stuff with the South, the West and the South, I believe, have got a reasonable working relationship, and they could damage that if they start accepting too many teams for the South League. But I also wonder, has the South had its time? It's because there's very, very little quality in that division, and they won't get any.
We won't be just adding teams to make up the numbers, which we did think, and I think you're right about the South. It's always been I remember when I was playing. I don't know if it was the same when you were playing, but I remember when I was playing, and teams like St Cuthbert's and things like that, they were good sides. Like they were a good game, but it seems as if the standard has been getting lesser and lesser at the minute, which is really interesting. So it's interesting that teams are wanting to move. I don't know how that leaves the artificial intelligence Saltire FC going down there. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And like you said, I'm glad that Kenny's just reiterating there that they're not just going to add teams in to make up the numbers. But back to BSC, PG, really disappointing. I have said to Barry if he wants to come on the show at the end of the season and give the kind of full, as we say in the business world, PG, open the kimono and give us the full spiel about what's actually went on, because he's told me a lot of stuff. There's the Russian bots in, PG.
I know. I'm literally just deleting the comment.
I know. But he's told me a lot of stuff off the record about what's kind of been going on behind the scenes and stuff like that, and I've not obviously put it out there out of respect for Barry and the job he's doing. On the game yesterday, 2-0 to West Park, 0-0 at half time. He says it's a bit open, but the 80-odd minutes in, and West Park scored after 80 minutes. Their young keeper just didn't get enough on it. It was gutted. And then they scored 2 minutes later for a long clearance. They played well, matched West Park, but found it tough. They found it tough to break us down, but 2 chances, 2 goals. Game over.
I think West Park have been excellent. That's 10 games undefeated, 8 wins, 2 draws. And they had a couple of wins before that. So I don't think they've lost in maybe, I think they've lost 1 in the last 13 or something. I didn't expect that at the start of the season for West Park. I did think that they'd be a team who'd be pushing there's the Russian bot back. I did think that they would be a good enough team to get promoted, but they've really, really put a marker down for a team that can win the title. And it's good to see, I touched on it before as well, it's good to see because when Kendall was there, they did really well, got promoted, and then when Kendall left, and tore their side apart. They really struggled. So it's great to see them coming back. BSC, even though they've only won 6 games this season, they've been pretty competitive, and obviously based on what Barry said about the game at the weekend there, it's a shame because they're a lot more competitive after how bad last season was, but a really good 3 points for West Parton. They just keep the caravan rolling.
I know. I mean, the thing is, we're talking about Cumnock at Hurlford at the start of the season, and how it's going to affect them now. How does it affect the boys at BSC, who I would imagine are not getting any money whatsoever at BSC, and now they know that they're not going to have a club at the end of the season?
It's so disappointing. It is. I mean, you just don't want to see it. And it's a shame. I wonder what will happen with our players as well. I wonder if some of the teams will be trying to cherry pick certain players for that league.
Yep. Game of the day. I just wanted to touch on that just because it was newsworthy. But game of the day was probably East Kilbride YM against Vale Leaving at the top of the league. Again, ends in a bit of a damp squib, especially with West Park picking up points. A point probably doesn't do either team any good. Although YM are only 5 points behind with 2 games in hand, it's always a difficult one, that one, because you have to then win those 2 games, which is easier said than done.
It definitely is. I'm not greatly surprised that is two of the best sides in the league, obviously, going up against each other. So a draw, it keeps it interesting. But West Park, like you said, they've opened themselves a 5-point gap. A good result for me, I think there was a couple of good results. East Kilbride Thistle going and beating Eglinton 4-2. That was a really good result because that's kept, I know they've got games in hand, but that's kept them right in the hunt to see what they can do. I mean, they're sitting 14 points back with 6 games in hand. It's a lot to make up, but they're really in with a good shout. I've been in there as well. And it'll be good to see West Parton and the 2 East Kilbride teams in Vale Leaving fighting out. Royal Albert, another one, 3-1 against Carluke. Have completely ended any hopes that Carluke have got for me. But they've pushed themselves right into a position. Only lost 2 games this season. They'll hope that the draws don't come back and kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. And the final result, St Peter's beating Saltcoats 4-1. Saltcoats. We were talking about this last week with Josh, and I know this game was away yesterday, but I think the move to Winton might go against them.
Aye, they've struggled a wee bit.
Kenny was just saying, finally, after a barren run, 3 points on the board and some sanity in the Henderson household.
It's actually going to be a really interesting fight for that 8th place. I think this league's quite similar to the 3rd division, where most of the teams that are in the top 8 are going to be the ones that will go up. Carluke need to really get their finger out because they're going to get pulled right back into it. Irvine Vicks as well, they can't afford to be dropping too many more points. I know their game was off yesterday, and I think that would have been 3 points against ROCHS, but they can't be brought back into it because you've still got St Peter's are hunting about, Giffnock are sniffing about, Saltcoats, if they can get over this recent run of bad form, then they're still in with a wee shout of that 8th place as well.
Mm-hmm. Aye, definitely. It's going to get down to the wire. I think you're looking at the top 3 and then any 5 from the rest, to be perfectly honest with you. I think Kenny's just saying Saltcoats' next home game is at Largs, but again, Largs, Astro, nice surroundings. Again, that's, for me, I think that the Saltcoats have got a real home advantage because it's a horrible place to play and it's a grass park, so they've kind of lost that. And Liam's just asking why they're playing at Winton and Largs. So there was the storm damage to the dressing rooms. I believe the roof get blown off. I think. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to do some repairs to the pitch round about there. A couple of questions in the chat, PG, just to finish off. Now we've kind of covered all the leagues. So Liam was just asking what happens to Saltire City if the South was to join the West. So I'd imagine they would just come with them, you know, or they would ask Chat GPT and they would tell them what to do.
Do you think, Johnny, do you think that's something, and maybe Kenny can, I suppose it's not something he'd want to divulge, but see if there is a bit of a mass exodus in the South, do you think that the West should just consume them and bring them in?
Well, it's
Or does it
interesting though, because Cycling
because
Chainsaw Chap's just talking there. He's saying Wigton's closer to the Isle of Man than it is to Auchinleck.
aye,
I mean, it's a fair bit of travelling down there, and the
and
problem
more
you've
teams who
got,
don't have the money as well, they need to do it.
and the problem you've got going down there, PG, is the road, and you've probably been down there. The road network is terrible. It's not like if you go to. I mean, you're talking about going to places like Forth and Lanark from Ayrshire, which is miles away, but it's motorway most of the way. Unless you got the back roads, it's motorway. It's not too bad. But if you're going down to places like Wigton and places like that, it's the roads are horrible. You know, it's no
Aye.
nice places to go. So I don't know what they would do. So it'll be interesting to see. And Kenny's just confirming their applications for the south of Scotland will be put on hold for a year. So there'll be nobody coming in from the south of Scotland this year, according to Kenny. Martin's just talking about, I know Martin well, he's just talking about they moved on to Newcombe Amies and they go to Campbelltown every pre-season. They meet and play for a trophy in Arran. So that's what we need to do. PG, just get them over to Arran, we'll play there. Middle ground. Do you know what I mean? And Paul Smith's just saying not to sound too grumpy for Johnny, but Saltire next year an abomination.
I'm curious. It's piqued my interest. I'm curious to see how it would go. I don't. They're another. They're for me. They're one who. They're one for me where they don't have. I'm talking about Campbelltown. At least they have their community. They've got their own park. They've got like what they need to be at the level. So
they're in bus and things like that, you know.
aye, they're very sustainable. Clearly, right. Despite me saying that the results are really poor, right. But what does Saltire bring? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm interested to see how it would go, but I don't really understand what they bring.
Well, the issue
to
for me as
it.
well, they've signed. I see they've signed quite a few boys for Dumbarton and stuff like that. Like, and they're going down to, as the chainsaw chat there says, they're going down to Wigton and places like that during the week. So, and I know they'd said something about the fact that it could be an easier route into the Lowland League, but I'd heard a rumour. And again, it's another Johnny Bailey rumour. PG, here we go, we're ready. So I heard a rumour from someone that in order to get into the Lowland League, or to get a licence, you have to have 3 years worth of accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to hang about in the south of Scotland for 3 years before they can even think about going to the Lowland League.
They're not going to get promoted anyway.
No, but do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. See, to be honest, Johnny, you're saying that. I'm sure I've heard something similar, that they have to be. There has to be a few years accounts there as well.
Mm-hmm.
The South don't have anybody that can challenge in my eyes in the West and East that are proper challengers. I mean, you might get the odd game where they could get really fortunate and just a freak result, but you're not going to get that in the two games against East and West, and I just don't see it. But Johnny, obviously, you've been talking a lot about.
I've seen that. Mm-hmm.
So Barry's saying on the current players at BSC, we're sourcing suitable clubs for them and already a lot of offers in for them, and also hosting an open friendly soon for fellow coaches to get a good look at them. I think that's really good for BSC that they're actively trying to get the boys out there and continue to play at the level. So well done to Barry and the guys at BSC for that.
Aye. Absolutely. And I saw a comment up the top. Hold on. I find it, because we've had loads of comments. Thanks everybody for getting involved in it. The chat's been class. Just that Liam was talking about his games he was at. He was down at Newton, Aycliffe 5, Ashington 2, and Step 8 in England, and Yarm and Eaglescliff. Eaglescliff, Prudhoe, Tier 10 of English football. That's what it's all about, going down there.
See, to be fair, I remember at Cumnock, we used to go down to Durham pre-season.
I went down with Glenafton one year.
And did you play Chesterley Street?
Yeah.
We played Chesterley Street. I actually scored for my half against Chesterley Street. Cycling
Chainsaw Chap's just asking if we're going to be keeping this slot on a Sunday night for Lowland League West podcast next season. We haven't really discussed it, PG, yet, have we? It's the discussion for the summer. We'll just enjoy the rest of this season just now, and then we will decide what we're going to do for next season. But it's been good. It's been good this season. I've really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't want to. I think we probably will expand into covering it, because, like you said, there's going to be a lot of our teams in it. But it just gives us more more teams to talk about, more teams to fall out about.
I think obviously it is something we need to discuss, but we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose a lot of. John, that's got to be you, isn't it? It's not me.
By the way, I bet you, and the thing is, I bet you Shanklin79 doesn't even know I used to play with Hibs as well. Good to see you, buddy.
Aye, it's interesting for next season. I think we probably should talk about it. We don't want to lose your clubs that we've followed that for the 5 years that the show has been going. So I think it's something we probably will do. I saw a comment, and we'll just try and get through a couple before we finish up. I'll not read out the exact wording, but can I ask if the league chooses to bring a team which is a pain to travel to, should they no fit some sort of travel bill? That's for John Riley. Thanks, John. I don't know. I don't think that's really the clubs should be doing that if they've been brought into the setup. That's the league bring them in. Kenny said no. I don't think that should happen. I think that if a club's been brought in, they should not be having to fit any bill for anybody because they've been brought into the league and it's on their merits. Cycling Chainsaw Chap is, how is BSC related to the Lone League team? They aren't. So BSC was the original name of the Lone League team and they completely separated from BSC and became Broomhill. And then BSC decided to put a team into the west of Scotland, and that is the current team we have right now.
Mm-hmm. Aye, no, definitely. Cool. And Paul Smith just saying, don't get me started, not covering the Bankies this year. See, there you go. Maybe next year, Paul.
You might be next year as well.
I know, unless you get promoted, because we're not covering League 2 in Scotland. I can't be bothered with that. Definitely not. So, I mean, I don't think there's... again, going back to what you were saying about the travelling, I think we trust the board to bring in teams that are going to contribute to the league and that kind of thing. So we've just got to go along with it. And you're going to be... If you're going to go up to Lowland League, League 2, whatever, that kind of thing, you know, you could be looking at travelling up to Elgin and down to Stranraer and all these kind of places. So... at least
you get a bit more money from the setup. When you're higher up, you're definitely bringing in more money, because I could be completely wrong, but I don't believe that the West of Scotland pay prize money for it, do they? It's not other than cups, so leagues you don't, but in like League 2 and up, you get money for being where you are in the league and stuff like that. So that could obviously mitigate some costs for you being higher up, which I think is the way it should be. But
I think we need... Personally, there needs to be more media exposure to this. Do you know what I mean? I happened to turn on, was it BBC Scotland or BBC Alba, and they were covering curling for like, it looked like the local ice rink. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, why? And I know they cover the Lowland League and the lower leagues in Scotland, and they cover the SWPL and things like that, but why are they not reaching? Because I think I saw there was over 1,000 people at Pollock v Johnston Borough last week. Why are they not and they're not even giving any coverage to it at all. Do you know what I mean? And I know we're trying down here in Ayrshire with the local radio station that I'm a big part of, but there needs to be more.
Right. Well, you look at we've got over 2,500 subscribers on this channel, and it shows that there's an appetite for this level of football. I think the league have made an absolute backside of their media stuff. I think that you've got guys like us, you've got Scott McPike, you've got a lot of really good media people involved at clubs. See if the league actually wanted to do something properly and have a proper YouTube channel, they could have it making good money for the setup, bringing a lot of exposure to the setup. But it just seems to be there's no an appetite from their end to do it. And I know if they did it properly, it would maybe hurt us. But I think that they're missing an opportunity to promote the game more, because I don't think they do enough to promote it. Individual clubs do their best. But
from a selfish point of view, though, PG, they could use us.
I know, mate. I know. It's been spoken about and nothing ever materialised. But I just think that there's such opportunity for the league to actually do something on YouTube, free content for for fans, promote the level so much. I mean, I know what it's like. We've not so much now because obviously we don't quite pump it at the same volume of content, but we've had times where in months, like tens of thousands of views on this channel purely for West of Scotland football. The league, if they did it properly and get everybody's buy-in, you could be close to 100,000 eyes, 100,000 sets of eyes a month on the channel and just promoting the life at the level. And I know it's a big undertaking, but there's people there that would want to help, and it's a missed opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm. Liam's just saying BBC Alba also does shinty. I actually really enjoy watching the shinty. To be fair, it's a class sport. And James, just we'll touch on this just before we finish because it's an interesting comment. James just saying having decent grounds instead of cages for the park. Now, I do think that is something that I tend to agree with, but I think clubs need to work within their means, and if they can take advantage of a sports facility. But I do think it's something that we should look at like they do in the senior game. When you get higher up the pyramid, there's more kind of rules, if you like, that you need to have that. And I also think one of my bugbears personally is you should have a plan in place to have your own ground within 5 years if you want to join the setup personally.
I also think that it should be tried to be aimed at a bit like the Dure. I know Paul was talking about, says he doesn't enjoy the viewing side of things for the Dure, but Drumchapel are trying to do more. And then you look at like Renfrew as well, what they've done with their park. I think that New Western Parks, for it being, in quotations, cage-like, I think that Renfrew have done an excellent job with their park, and it's a decent place to go and watch football.
Aye, no, I don't think. I think places like Renfrew, I think, are absolutely fine. I think it's when you see the teams that, like we spoke about Springburn earlier and places like that. Do you know what I mean? They're not conducive to semi-professional football. Do you know what I mean? No. That kind of thing. And I think it's fine to be in the league in the lower levels, but if you're wanting to progress, you should have a plan in place to have your own. You should have plans for your own park. And Kenny's just reiterating there that they've visited new clubs and made them aware that fan experience is a must, which is great. Yep. So, like you said, we're talking up the board, and they seem to be singing for the same hymn sheet that we are. To be fair,
yep, definitely.
Right, mate. Good. Enjoyed that as always. Thanks very much for giving up your Mother's Day evening. I'm sure the missus was delighted.
See, to be honest, Johnny, we've been together that long. She doesn't even like me anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
I thought you talked about me and you have been together that long.
I know it's feeling that way.
No, it was good, mate. It was class. Finally, John's just saying there about being club secretary for the Royal Albert and done the community asset for the club as well, which is great. Again, good stuff happening off the park at Royal Albert as well. I was saying to Josh last week, I seen assuming they're going to get promoted, which I think they will. They could be a club to watch over the next few years, I think.
Mm-hmm. Aye. Definitely. I think so as well. I think that, I don't know, I just think they've got a good management team in place, and they've got time and they're trying to build it, so definitely. But I think we should give Cycling Chainsaw chap his answer to his question, John, because I'm curious as well.
I'm ready. I'm not happy.
Oh, we're under 4 again?
Do you know what, right? See if there was one game that you would have looked at on Saturday morning and said, there's no way that is going to finish 0-0. It would have been Glasgow Pershore and Lugar Boswell Thistle.
I know. Cancelled each other out. Disappointing.
What are they doing? So because of Glasgow Pershore and because of Lugar Boswell Thistle, with 100 and because of the game being off, I know with 122 goals in 31 games, which comes out at 3.9. PG, that's the second week in a row it's been 3.9.
So disappointed. I mean, I appreciate Cali Locals and Les Mejigo trying to bump the average up with a 9-goal thriller, but see if there's any managers watching this, just start attacking me, right? Don't worry about defending, just attack me and give us what we want, and that's a minimum of 4 goals per game every week.
I know. Still not a bad return though.
It's
31
okay.
games, get average 3.9 goals a game, but disappointing we can't get over the 4, but fingers crossed we can next week. Right, PG, top man. It's been good fun as always. It's been great. Thanks to everybody that has tuned in, that has got involved with your comments and your questions and everything that we want. The comment section was firing away tonight. It was absolutely brilliant to see.
Brilliant.
So thanks very much. Remember, just before you go, if you're switching off the stream, hit the like button, please. Let's try and get the like numbers up on the old YouTube. It's good for the algorithm. And subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel. If you're listening on audio form, download the episode, rate and review on your podcast networks. We are sponsored by Roxburgh Insurance Brokers, GLA Chauffeurs, VSN Sport, and you can hear us on Monday evening on East End Community Radio as well. Okay, until next week, I've been Jonny Bailey, he's been PG. Take care of yourselves and each other. Cheers.
Cheers.